This story is a very favorite one of the Sweet Bamboo, one of his very favorites. It's called The Wheel of Pain. Would you like me to read it to you, Dad?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The Wheel of Pain. Once upon a time, as all good fairy tales must begin, there was a beautiful paradise that existed many miles beneath our world, called INFERNUS. The heat of this place could not be measured by any earthly standard. Standing before a great turning, creaking wooden wheel was a massive red demon and a dead man, his trainee. They had traveled across many, many miles of INFERNUS and across many millions of years before they came to this place. The demon only ever called this former mortal son, or my only beloved, neither remark being remotely true. No one knew where the source of light was, but everything glowed a dim orange, barely enough to see by. Both of them had only empty eye sockets, the heat of this place having long ago melted their orbs. But their curse was that they saw all the horrors of INFERNUS, just as well as you or me. Well, not you, but a pale leather-like covering stretched tightly over the surface of the wheel, as tight as any drum's skin, and it turned in perfect time as the wheel turned. Creaking and the rattling of wooden gears made quite an assault on their eardrums. The large red demon approached the enclosed wheel that seemed like a great Ferris wheel, but wasn't. The cracking and creaking seemed to be mostly coming from behind this cover. The great demon grabbed a corner of the skin at the bottom and gripped tightly with both of his massive red-taloned hands as the wheel continued turning upward. "Watch this, my son," he said to the trainee. More accurately, listen to this. He held onto the drum-like skin fast, and they heard a great rending sound like the ripping of great flaps of human flesh from bodies. As more and more of the inside of the wheel became exposed, screaming could be heard, nearly faintly at first, then gaining and gaining in volume, till it seemed they were exposed to the tumultuous shrieking of many hundreds of violent harpies. The underside of the skin was wet and black in the pale orange light. The bloody flap, heavy and wet, began falling down as the wheel continued unabated around and around. It finally splattered loudly on the floor, and the inside of the wheel was fully exposed. Shrieks pounded their ears like wooden mallets. The trainee covered his ears and said, "Oh, my father, make it stop. It hurts." "It will die down in a little while since I have reopened this wound."
Here comes my favorite part. It's very scary.
On rusty red cycles, fixed to the spokes of the Ferris wheel by some unknown means, riding up and over and down and up again, were 13 souls. The trainee noticed that all of the tortured beings had fresh wounds that glittered in the pale orange light all down the left sides of their bodies. Their heads and shoulders, arms and legs had large open wet areas, as if their skin had been ripped from their bodies, as if the skin of the wheel had been glued to their bodies like sores, their flesh having been rudely and painfully stripped away. This is funny to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
They never stopped cycling, but screamed louder and louder. Their screaming would have instantly shattered any mere mortal's eardrums, but there were no mere mortals here. The trainee observed that there were males and females mixed into this group, and each made the wheel go faster and faster with their mad pedaling of the cycles. And as they cycled along, each plunged a large red blade completely into the back of the person pedaling in front of them, and then pulled it out again, and then plunged the long knife completely into the back of the person in front of them. all the way up to the hilt of the rusty blades, and they would pedal faster to get away from the person behind them, but it was a foolish gesture. And then they would plunge the knife into the person in front of them in bitterness to abate their own terror and pain, over and over again, each one repeating the process. The gigantic red demon raised his right hand in front of the wheel, and as if by magic, everyone stopped pedaling and stabbing and screaming. Approach this one here, my son, but don't get close enough, for he will grab you. Then I'd never get him away from you. Can't he jump down and molest me? The trainee said. No, for their bodies are one with the cycles, just as their flesh was the same flesh connected to the wheel, and will be again when we leave here and I put it back the way it was before. Parallel to the sun was a man who had come to rest as he was nearing the crest of the round wheel near the top, a massive man that the sun would have mistaken for a minotaur had he not known that there was no such thing as a half-man, half-bull creature. Instead of sweat, the man glistened with wet black rivulets that flowed down his soaked pelt, for he was completely covered from the neck down with a thick black coat of coarse hair like a goat's. He had a great black beard. His eyes glittered with unhinged, pure hatred as he looked at the sun. Ask him one question, but only one, for I must set them on their endless journey again soon. Very well, the sun said. He turned to the massive man and addressed the question to him. Are you a minotaur? It's kind of dumb, isn't he? Oh, how original, the red demon exclaimed, laughing and clapping loudly. Give you a rare opportunity like this, and you ask him that. Not, how did you come to be here? Or, how long have you been here? No. Are you a minotaur? Anyone with sense can already see he is a minotaur. You belong in there with him. The massive man stared down at the trainee. His eyes blazed insanely. His former humanity had burned away in the depths of the wheel many millennia ago. If only he began, running his tongue over his black and blistering lips. The sun observed the lips cracking open and blood thinly streaming down into his beard. If only I could get down from the wheel of pain, I would thank you for your attentions by painfully ripping the flesh off your face with my bloody teeth. He flashed a broad black smile of wet teeth. He took a great handful of his furry belly and twisted until it burst open. A few blue and gray ropes of intestine fell out like writhing snakes, seeking open air through the split skin. The sun backed up when he saw the man pull a thick entrail up to his lips and kiss it oh so tenderly. The man let the guts fall back into his lap, but kept his stare on the trainee, sweetly grinning the whole time. The man cocked his head sideways and beckoned the trainee to come closer with a large taloned finger. The trainee did not move closer, but said instead, Then I suppose I am quite thankful, sir, that you cannot. He turned to the red demon, who was excitedly glaring at him, openly grinning at him. Father, why did you show this piteous sight to me? Why, to further rot your soul, of course, for it is you that I love, and only you, my son. Well, it worked. He paused, then a thought came to him. But wasn't the wheel covered with that skin-like object the whole time? It's not skin-like, it is skin, their skin. They grew it over the wheel over the course of many millions of lifetimes to hide their shame at being here. And yes, it is always covered, the demon lied, and the sun took no notice. Then they are in complete darkness the whole time, never knowing where they are, stabbing and screaming the whole time. And don't forget, it's about 1,000,000 degrees in here, but they know where they are, and they know where they're going. Where, the sun asked. Absolutely nowhere. The red demon ripped a small woman out of the seat directly in front of the minotaur. He threw her behind him into the vast and hateful darkness. They heard a crash and cracking of bones, but paid no more attention to her.
I like that part where that person gets thrown in the back and crashes and their bones are all broken. That is so totally cool. Okay.
Now, my son, I will put you into the wheel of pain for 1,000 generations. Would you really do that to me? It is already done. And it was. The red demon raised his hand again, and the wheel began turning slowly, as each one rapidly, hurriedly stabbed deeply into the back of their companions, seated in front of them, all pedaling madly, going nowhere. The red demon watched the entire thing for exactly 1,000 generations before he pulled his son out, rescuing him from the Minotaur.
I like the part where the Minotaur is stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. It's so pretty. It's such a beautiful story.
Slippery black clots of blood escaped continuously from his empty, heat-blasted sockets, as if there was an imitation of sadness and tears, but was unhinged love and pride instead. And they cycled faster and faster, and they all screamed louder and louder, and the giant wheel endlessly squeaked and squealed, and went round and round and round.
I like to hear some music and but I know I'm beautiful, but I can't sing very well. No. If I don't hear all my beautiful stories every year, somebody is going to be put into the wheel of pain, and they're going to be sorry, and I think it's you.